Hi everybody, it's Kathy from Huckleberry Herbs and Art. I love carnations and I'd love to be able to make paper ones that look realistic to put on my projects. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do that using the Heartfelt Creations 3D flower shaping molds. In this one, I'm going to show you how to use the basics, which is kind of universal. And it did a really good job of making large and small realistic looking carnations without too much hardship on my hands. I'll be using the large Camellia Carnation stamp set, as well as the die set, the small set of stamps and dies, and of course, the new 3D Floral Basic Shaping Mold, and a paper from the Camellia Carnation collection. I chose this paper because I just love that little window, and I'm going to put that square to the side. I'll be focusing on this beautiful pink pattern on the back, using that as a base paper for my flowers. I start out with Distress Oxide Vintage ink. Be careful when you use Distress Oxides because they are reactive, so if they get wet later, it might run a little bit. I'm stamping out lots of the sizes of the flowers, as well as I come back and use one of the squares to get a few green leaves in case I need them. When I'm finished, I decided to do white paper and pink and red and use my color box pigment inks and then die cut them out so I had lots of different colors, sizes, and shapes. Now it's time to use the mold. As you can see, it's bright pink, thank goodness, and when you open it up, one side is a very raised relief and the other indented. Now, it might seem very painstaking for somebody watching this to think about putting all those flowers into the little mold spaces that they fit in and taking the time to get them just so. But to any of you who have made handmade flowers, you know that it takes a long time to make every single little petal and prepare it to mold into a flower. Here, all I had to do is take the time to put them into their little pockets, give them a quick squirt of water, and be careful not to give them too much, just one light spray. Place the cover onto the top and press down. They've made these molds so that when you look at the side of them, you'll see 3 of the corners have rectangle little tips and 1 does not. And you want to just make sure that your tips are all locked in, and the one that doesn't have one is going at that angled corner. And once you've got this placed together properly, you can take out the die machine with a bottom plate. And then these are about the same size as the big dies. Putting the mold and then a top plate through my Big Shot worked just fine. I did find that the pressure was there enough to make the flowers, but I'm going to show you a little tip in a moment, which will make them indent even further if that's needed. I really didn't find that it made that much of a difference, so no biggie. Get it? No biggie? Okay, that was really bad. At any rate, now the fun part comes, because you can take them out of the mold and see all the work you didn't have to do. And they really did come out shaped lovely. Once I get them all out, I'll show you a little bit of a close-up so you can see all the ridges. And it might not look very dramatic, but again, if you have made flowers by hand, you know every little line you're about to see would have had to be pressed in with your own hands using a stylus. I never could have done this myself, not without a real lot of time and hard work on my hands. And my hands are getting older, and I'm struggling more with items like this. And where these molds can, especially this one, be used on more types of flowers, different varieties of flowers, I'm thinking I'm going to be using the molds quite a bit, especially if I have to make more than one flower. I might not dig all this stuff out for just one, but when I want to make a bunch of them, these are going to be great. And I usually do make a bunch of the same things because I don't want to dig out all the separate tools every time. So I'll show you in a different video. I'll probably make a little box and decorate it with the flowers to keep the ones that I've made inside of. So I've taken 2 pieces of paper to just thicken this up a little, and I can feel that it's much more pressure. You can check out different methods in your own die cut machine and see what works best for you. I do believe that it indented the edges a little bit more. It might be worth it, but to tell you the truth, I might just skip that whole part too because they came out looking lovely with no paper at all. Okay, so I found a little tip here. If you're getting bothered by the fact they slide around a lot while you're trying to put them in, if you just bend up the edges slightly, not a lot, just give them a little bend and then press them in the center to flatten them back down as they go in. They don't slide around as much in the molds, especially when you're putting the cover on. That would be the key part. And then placing the cover directly over the center as best you can and pushing down from the center really helped to get the mold put together correctly for the die cut machine. So I decided to continue and get all the different colors. I think that on some of these red and pink ones, you can see, especially if you look at the back, just how much grooving has been done that I actually would not have tried to do in creating the flowers myself. And it's going to help me to shape the flowers further. Even the little ones came out really nice. So look at how many of them I was able to make. And without having to sit there with my stylus scraping every single one of those grooves, I was very grateful to see this little pile of potential carnations sitting in front of me and excited to go on to the next part, which will be further shaping and gluing them together to make the flowers. I think they came out lovely. So onward bound. Now it's time to actually make the flowers themselves. Pressing the stylus in the center, I noticed that they came up just fine, but I did see Emma Lou from Heartfelt Creations pinching the edges, and carnations are scruffy little flowers. So I might not do this for other types of flowers that I'm making, but considering that it's carnations and I really want that scruffy, realistic look, I'm taking the time to pinch them once, twice on the edges. I know they look terrible here, but when you put them together, they're going to look like carnations. And because the grooves were already made by the mold, it was much easier to do this. If you try to take a flat piece of paper and bend it like this, well, you got to remember that paper is wood. It comes from trees and the fibers are all recompressed, but it's got some strength to it and it's going to fight you when you try to bend it like this. But having the molds already pre-shaped them made it easy. So I also found that squishing them at the bottom, at the base, helped to get that carnation scruffy look. And now all I have to do is stick the stylus into the center and squeeze at the bottom. And once I get all of these shaped, and I'm going to shape, some good amount of large ones and small ones and make one of each size in this color of red for you. It'll be time to glue them together. Isn't it interesting when you work with products like this? You can't wait to get to the next level. And then when you get there, you can't wait to do the next thing until you're done. So putting some glue in the center and not being picky about it. The biggest part of this is just getting the petals off-centered. You don't want to have the petals lined up with each other, and making sure that they're not overlapping in the same direction is key to making the flower look real. So a little tip here, if you just throw a piece of scrap paper on your foam, you won't get the glue all over it and you can still use the foam to shape. And I am once again trying to create more of a scruffy look by squeezing from the bottom as I put each of the layers in. So 2 or 3, if you would like, of each of the flowers to make a large one is what I'm doing here. And if you put the layers in, don't squeeze them all together until you've actually gotten enough of them in there that they're going to be complete, because it's going to be harder to get them in as they get smaller. But really, it's quite simple. Just keep adding the layers in, one little bit of glue, the next layer of flowers, off-centering the petals, and then using your stylus to squeeze down the center. I was so excited when I finished this one because I was waiting to see, is this really going to work? And I was very pleased to see, all said and done, this really did look like a carnation to me. How about you? So having made the larger one, I'm going to go back now and make a smaller one for you. And I did speed this up so that you don't have to sit there and watch me squeeze each one. Although as you saw, it really didn't take that long. And taking the stylus to put the final shape on, putting my layers in and my glue, not worrying about whether or not the glue comes up. And the paper is keeping it from sticking to my foam. This is a dries clear glue. We all love that glue, don't we? And I'm not going to see it once it's done. So there's a little guy for you. I thought I'd do a close-up of the pinch that I'm giving just so you can see I'm really not doing much to it. I'm just squeezing, taking advantage of those little grooves and how the paper just falls into place between my fingers so that I can put that little scruffy shape in to my carnations. I really like these white ones with the pink edges, and later on I'll go back and add some ink to a few of the petals that I wanted to brighten up a bit, but the stamp and die cutting did a fine job of putting a little bit of a colorful edge on. You can always do the coloring before, during, or after. It's up to you. And now you can see what I'm really doing. I'm pinching the bottom and tightening it around the stylus. And then just putting the petals in again, offset as best I can, so that when I'm finished, all the way down to the littlest guy, squeezing him so I can fit him into that last little space, we have a nice little white and pink carnation to go with the red ones. I next added some worn lipstick distressed oxide using my Heartfelt Creations dauber. You can find any of the items in this video at HuckleberryHerbs.com. And Heartfelt Creations is at a little bit of a discount every day over there. Don't forget to sign up for the contact form because you'll get a further discount when I have exclusive savings for my customers. I like this crystal clear cover because it allows me a second chance not to drop the glitter all over my lap. It comes with different shaped glitter, and it's really very sparkly, which of course I love. And here's my art glitter glue going on with that little tip on it so that I can use my spoon to get the glitter on. I have these spoons in little packages, by the way, in the store in case you don't want to buy a box of 500. They're in the tools section, I think. So now I'm just finishing up this beautiful little carnation with some sparkle. I had fun doing this, and I really am a believer. I like the molds. I never could have finished this many of them in the time that I did, looking this realistic without the help of the molds, so I like them. I'll leave the link to my store below. Do come over and visit and say hi, leave a little message in the lounge area if you would like to. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this is Kathy from Huckleberry Herbs and Art. God bless.